Hello, everybody in social media world. I am getting ready to go on AC Mike's terrific program on WOND. Now, I tried this last week to do a video stream of this while basically video streaming, but while calling in. Sorry, I'm just waking up. Sometimes the words take a little bit, but it didn't work because my microphone wasn't working. But today, I think it's working. I did a test before, and now at least it appears to be working. Can you hear me? Let me know if you can't hear me. If you can't hear me, all right. So that's coming up in about 8 minutes, but that gives me a few minutes to chat with you. If you didn't get a chance to listen to this morning's program, please be so good as to check it out. I'm getting, again, I think people really like Fred Rubino, getting rave reviews for the most part on this morning's show. Assemblyman Robert Auth of New Jersey said at 3:26 this morning, I don't remember what we were talking about. He says, "You guys are having too much fun tonight." A lot of other people just saying, great show with capital letters. Great. My friend Darren. A lot of other great comments and feedback, not only to Fred Rubino, but to Elliot Gordon and to the Ask Frank Anything portion of the show as well. If you're interested in Ask Frank Anything, you can come and see Elliot Gordon live and in person with me on January 13th, which should be a lot of fun. Ellen says she can hear us. That's great. Ellen says she laughed all morning. Wonderful. Great. See, it's not just me that finds Fred funny. If Fred legitimately is funny. Grace, good to see you. Good to see you too. So if you want to see what all the fuss is about and why people are laughing, you can check out the podcast. Just go to wabcradio.com/Frank. Had a terrific time last night at the where was I? The Teddy Atlas dinner. My thanks to Teddy Atlas for inviting me. My thanks to my colleague Sid Rosenberg for getting me invited. It was a wonderful, wonderful event, and I got to meet a lot of just wonderful folks, including Liev Schreiber, who I had never met before, who was a heck of a nice guy. And we got to spend some time talking about some of his work that I really enjoyed, including RKO 281, where he plays Orson Welles, and his appearance on Broadway as Barry Champlain. And I think he appreciated the fact that I, as a radio person, really liked his appearance in that. And it's always a treat to be able to spend time with the one and only Tony Danza. I got to see Tony Danza, who looks great, who is coming back with his one-man show and doing his thing with that one-man show. That was great. But he's going to join us in a second. Let me see if I can call in now. See again. If people are wondering why I'm so disheveled, I just woke up. So, for a regular person, this would be like waking. This would be like 5:30 a.m. for a regular person. Anyway, 609. I got a call from Curtis that apparently he needs me to go to the bank, and the bank that he has his account for his mayoral campaign, and now I have to essentially get him someone at the bank to talk to. Mom, if you're watching, it's your bank, so if you have a contact for the manager over there or something, if you can send me an SMS text message with that and maybe save me a trip over there, that would be great. Teddy Roosevelt mug. Thank you for this, cup of tea. Bella Holden, what's up, Frank? Hey, this is Frank Morano. I was calling into AC Mike. Super. I'm on hold. Kevin McKay checking in. on Instagram. Oh, the lovely Alyssa checking in on California. From California. I'm on hold. Virginia and Kevin. We have two ends of a married couple watching this show. Hi, Virginia. Virginia, any suggestions? I know you're coming down to Atlantic City soon, and we were just there when AC Mike was too busy to meet us. Any suggestions for what I should discuss? Anything local? Yes, Ellen, you did send me this. Thank you. I appreciate that. By the way, those of you that are watching, please be so good as to like, comment, and share. Let's see, anything else that I can bring up before? Listen to this morning's podcast if you can. Hey, is anybody on Blue Sky? I saw that they got millions more users since the Trump situation, and meaning his reelection. And my brother who's not a Trump person, was encouraging me to join Blue Sky. Honestly, the last thing I want to do is update one more social media platform. So my inclination is to not join unless anybody out there says that it's just phenomenal. So if it's phenomenal, let me know. Hey, while I'm here, I want to give a plug to my sister-in-law Kat's charity. She's on the board of this charity where it's called Girls in Gear, and you can help riders build confidence on and off their bikes, and join them for Kickbox for a Cause, Wednesday, December 11th. So if you want to make a donation, you can go to girlsingear.org, or you can email my sister-in-law Kat at katmorano912@gmail.com. So, or you could just make a contribution on Venmo at girls-in-gear, even if it's $15, $20, whatever. She had asked me to promote it, and I have to be careful with what I can promote on the radio. So the AC Mike checking in. Hey, brother, how are you? Mike, can you hear me? Nothing to me. Yeah, well, can't hear me yet. What else going on? Buffer. Michael Buffer. Yeah, I'm going to bring up the pricing chart from Michael Buffer. Do they need bikes? Yeah, Virginia, email her. I would say email her and see if she does need bikes. That might be an idea. Cost of setting up bleachers in AC Convention Center. I'm not sure I catch that. I love that I'm hearing Rita Cosby even on WOND. She's everywhere, which is great. Happy birthday, Rita. She's turned 60. Mike. Hey, Mike. How you doing? Everybody watching, please share. Mike asked me what we wanted to talk. What he wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about. So I just wrote out a list of 20 subjects. I feel like I'm doing show prep on my one day off, which I guess I am. But I guess deep sigh there, Mike. All right. And you'll see that we're generating a clean energy. I'm going to mute. No. Science and commitment. Okay. It's the coolest time of the year to stay and play in Atlantic City during the Tinseltown Holiday Experience. Celebrate with festive tree lightings and events, holiday shows, spectacular pop-up experiences, and the parade on December 7th. Explore the holiday market and list for you. So listen to this morning's show when you can. I thought it was interesting. Or at least funny. I thought it was funny. New Jersey CRDA.
1400 and 92.3 WOND welcomes you back to the AC Live. Call in and join the conversation at 609-927-1100. And now, here's AC Live.
Hey, folks, welcome back to the show. So glad you're with us this Friday afternoon here at the AC Mike Show on News Talk 1400 and WOND, WONDradio.com on the World Wide Web, Hard Rock Hotel Casino Studio, Atlantic City. Listen, we're talking with our guy here, 77 WABC, as well as WOND radio host, Frank Morano. Frankie, welcome back to the show, my friend. How are you this afternoon?
I am great, AC Mike. Happy weekend, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. It is great to see and talk to you, my friend. Wonderful to be back here.
Listen, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more when those few letters get put out there on Friday. Man, it's just a great day. Feels like back in school again. Listen, got a lot to talk about, Frankie. A bunch going on. Feels a little bit like winter is ready to come upon us a little bit, at least today up here, or down here, I should say, in the Jersey Shore. Listen, big races. I mean, we just had the election a few weeks ago. It's kicked off already. League of Municipalities was in town, just ended yesterday here in Atlantic City, New Jersey, being the biggest in the country when it comes to the League of Municipalities. All those governors, 10 of them, 6 on the D side, 4 on the R side here in Jersey. We're all in Atlantic City, walking around, shaking hands, kissing babies, eating meatballs, you name it, doing what they were doing. Listen, it's heated up. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, I know you're tied into it as well.
Well, I have a lot of thoughts. For instance, I think there's a lot of really interesting candidates out there. Obviously, Steve Sweeney, with his history in South Jersey, is going with a very, very much of a South Jersey strategy. I think 2 of the candidates that I find most interesting on the Democratic side are Josh Gottheimer and Mikey Sherrill. They're both kind of moderate. They both have kind of unique figure in terms of working with the other side. Obviously, with Mikey Sherrill, you have the whole military veteran thing. They're going out of their way to distinguish themselves as not being part of what we'll call the AOC crowd. But I really think that if they both, now I don't see all 6 of these candidates staying in to the point that there's a primary. I imagine a few drop off before the convention. But if both of them do stay in, Sherrill and Gottheimer, I almost think that they cannibalize their existing pool of voters, because I think there's only so many moderate Democrats.
Right.
And if both Gottheimer and Sherrill are in there, I think it probably makes it difficult, if not impossible, for either of them to ultimately be the nominee, because New Jersey, unlike places like Maine, doesn't have ranked choice voting. If they had ranked choice voting in the primary, people could rank Gottheimer first and then Sherrill second. But without that, I think they kind of may split the moderate Democratic vote. So I don't know how to handicap it. I know Baraka's got a lot of, head of steam in more progressive communities and in some minority communities. I know Sweeney's very popular in South Jersey. I think it's going to be very interesting. A lot of the institutional support seems to be lining up behind Steve Fulop, the mayor of Jersey City. But I don't know that you can discount the cash advantage that Mr. Spiller, the head of the teachers union, is going to have going into this. So I think it's great that there's a contest. I mean, one of the great byproducts of Andy Kim's running for U.S. Senate, and you may feel differently, being much more familiar with the process than I am, but one of the great byproducts of Kim going forward with the Senate race has been the abolition of the line system, the county line system, which I always thought was ridiculous. Why should the candidate that's handpicked by the party bosses get preferential treatment on the ballot? Let all the candidates appear on the ballot the same way and let the voters vote. So I think primaries can be a healthy thing. I know some people view them as divisive. I think it's a good thing. I think it's democratic. On the Republican side, very interesting what happened at the League of Municipalities in Atlantic City, which you mentioned. My friend, Assembly Member Bob Auth, who's probably one of the more conservative members of the legislature in the state of New Jersey. He was the first legislator to endorse Donald Trump back in 2016. He actually endorsed John Bramnick, who is the only Republican running as a never Trumper. Now, why did he do that? He's saying he did it because Bramnick is the best choice for the general election. Now, I think most people believe that it's difficult for Bramnick to win the Republican nomination because he's so anti-Trump. But it's very telling that you have one of the OG Trumpers, Robert Auth, endorsing Bramnick just because they think he's the most electable. So I don't know how how that plays out. Obviously, you have Ed the Trucker Durr, who beat Steve Sweeney, running on a very conservative platform, Jack Ciattarelli kind of running on a moderate conservative platform, and our fellow radio talk show host Bill Spadea running on a super conservative platform. So I think it's going to be a very interesting contest on both sides. I'm not sure how much the issue of electability will play in and potentially help Bramnick, but I think it's an exciting thing. It's going to be exciting from now until June.
No, definitely. I mean, I'm with you at most of what you say. Listen, Mikey Sherrill, I think she's a star in the making there, and that type of running for governor. You know, it's got a lot of support behind her, and like you said, Fulop and the others as well. I mean, it's just a large amount of people. Who knows how many stick to once we get to the June primary. On the Republican side, listen. You mentioned a few of those, Spadea, as well as the interesting connection with Bramnick and Bob. Listen, gotten to know Bramnick a little bit when I was working with Assemblyman and Senator Chris Brown down here as a legislative assistant. Great guy, you know, very smart, intelligent. But I'll put this out there. Up north, Jack Ciattarelli, well known out there, Assemblyman as well, businessman. And what he has done down here in South Jersey, not just Atlantic City, I'm talking Cumberland County, Cape May County, Atlantic County, of course, and throughout, he's really made a presence, Frankie, right through last election, you know, with just narrowly losing to Governor Murphy. I believe it was 51-48% somewhere at that time. And he has really just continued a 40-year run of showing up and talking to people and whatnot. So I think that he's going to be very formidable when it comes to him, Bramnick, and some of the others, and Spadea, you know, and being a moderate there, you know, it's Jersey. I mean, it showed itself a little bit November 5th as well. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to have him on. And one of these times when he comes on, I would love to, I'm going to put it out to you, and maybe you could join us with that conversation.
Sure. Anytime.
But we're going to continue to roll with that. I mean, listen,
it's interesting that you mentioned about Jack Ciattarelli, and I've met Jack a couple times, but I don't really know him. But about a year ago, and I hope I'm not, betraying any confidences here, but about a year or so ago, I was chatting, maybe even more than that, maybe a year and a half ago, I was chatting with former Governor Jim McGreevey, who's now trying to mount a political comeback of his own, and in Jersey City, where he's running for mayor. And he and I were in the green room at a TV show, and I said, hey, what do you think of the race for your old job, the New Jersey gubernatorial race? And he, unsolicited, without me mentioning any specific candidates, he said, who, I know all the candidates running, they all have their strengths and weaknesses. He said, who, and obviously McGreevey's a lifelong Democrat, who the best guy is in that field of candidates? The best guy is actually Jack Ciattarelli. And I think for a Democratic governor and a Democratic mayoral candidate to unsolicited make a comment like that, I think that says a lot about the kind of respect that Jack Ciattarelli has across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is interesting that former Governor McGreevey would put that out there. But yeah, I mean, he resonates with the people, common man, and again continues to show up, and that's what it's about. Listen, real quick on Jersey too. We'll talk a little bit about this, the changes in the bird feeder law. I mean, I want you to hit on that real quick before we jump into NYC.
So if people don't know about this, obviously I realize that New Jersey has a problem with bears, at least some parts of New Jersey. That being said, what they're proposing to do in terms of this bird feeder law is, I think, absolutely ridiculous. They're making it so that you have to bring your bird feeder in for 6 months of the year. They're making it so that you have to bring it in at night. They're making it so that you have to actually have it 10 feet or more up in the air. Now, who's going to do that? Unless you're 9 feet tall, you're going to get a ladder and a pulley system every day just to refill it. I understand the desire to keep bears from going in people's backyard, but this is just idiotic. I mean, I think it was one New Jersey legislator, someone who made the point that even Tony Soprano got in touch with his inner serenity by feeding the ducks. To take this away, now we have a bird feeder in our backyard, but to take this away from people because of bears, it's crazy. I think there's a lot that can be done to reduce bears going to people's properties, maybe education, maybe some other things. But to add all of these new bureaucratic restrictions in the name of preventing bears from going in people's backyard, it's nuts. This is what people dislike about government. It's just too much.
Just what I was going to say. I mean, folks getting in my household, so to speak, or my backyard, they don't need to do that. And kind of, that's why I like a smaller form of government, lean to the R, moderate R, whatnot, just smaller government. You don't need to, there's so much other stuff to be done. Not that the bears intruding are not important in our homes and in our areas and communities. But again, I just wanted to bring that out there.
Listen, put away the picnic baskets. That's the best way to keep the bears away.
Hey, boo, let's go get a picnic basket. Hey, listen, speaking about picnic baskets, not no more. Congestion pricing, New York City, man, come on, it's coming back.
This is awful. It's so funny that you picked this to discuss, because this is the other thing that people can't stand about politics and politicians. Now, Governor Kathy Hochul, I think, did the right thing by putting a pause on this congestion pricing law, because it was going to hurt people like me that may live in areas without, a lot of mass transit, but we still need to go into work every day. And she put a pause on it about a month or two before the election. And then the election happens, and Donald Trump, as he's coming in to be president, says, all right, I'm going to terminate congestion pricing. So right after the election, she restarts it before Trump gets in, and tries to shove it down people's throat before Trump gets in. I mean, this is ridiculous. This looks like exactly what it was, an attempt to get votes by pausing congestion pricing. And, Hochul says to the voters, oh, well, you screwed up. You trusted us. Now that the election already happened and the damage is done, now we can restart congestion pricing. And instead of it being $15, it's going to be $9. You should thank me. Give me a break. This is ridiculous. As a guy that works overnights, I commute in 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10:30. There's no traffic congestion most nights for me. So it's not a congestion pricing fee because I don't have any congestion. This is just another tax on working class New Yorkers and New Jerseyans that need to drive into Midtown. This is crazy. If it was about traffic congestion, there wouldn't be a fee for those of us that work overnight. Additionally, why, I don't have an option of taking mass transit just because there's no mass transit here. So rather than penalize me for living in a mass transit desert, maybe you say after we provide a mass transit infrastructure that you can take advantage, then we'll whack you if you want to drive in. But this is ridiculous. How many times can the same working class and middle class New Yorkers and New Jerseyans still be squeezed? It's insulting.
Continue to squeeze us. Politicians like Focal continue to look at us, whether it be TV or in person or pressers or whatnot, and tell us that they know what they're talking about. They have no idea. And you're so right. I think that's the fatigue that has gone across the nation, as well as like these politicians talking to us. I mean, not that she's not going to get it passed or whatnot or move forward, and talking to us like we don't know what we're talking about. Right. You don't dig in your pocket and know what it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think this is a disaster, both substantively and procedurally. This was so incredibly poorly handled. Kudos to Governor Murphy and Josh Gottheimer for bringing a lawsuit to try and stop this, as well as a lot of the New York folks, and not just Republicans either, like Nicole Malliotakis and Vito Fossella and Joe Borelli, but the teachers union, the UFT, Michael Mulgrew in New York trying to stop this, the NAACP in New York trying to stop this. These aren't exactly considered right-wing groups. They're just groups that don't want their members squeezed with yet another tax. It's too much. It's too much.
No, I applaud them all, as you said, on whatever side of the party. They have to continue to voice themselves, and the people need to be heard as well. Listen, is there any truth that Mr. Cuomo, Andrew, making a comeback here? What do you know about that? I know you got the inside scoop, fella.
Well, I am hearing it's a done deal that Andrew Cuomo is absolutely running for mayor of New York City, and if it's 100% certainty as it is, but if Eric Adams doesn't run for re-election, which a lot of people think is likely, it's 110% certainty. So whether Adams leaves early, if he resigns or is removed from office, and there's a special election, or whether it's just a regular primary election next year, I'm hearing that Cuomo is going to be mounting a political comeback. I'm not a Cuomo fan, but he does have a lot of name recognition, and in a large field, that could be very formidable. He's obviously not all his name recognition is necessarily positive, so we'll see where that goes. I'm not necessarily a fan of Cuomo returning to public office, but apparently he is. So he wants redemption and is going to be doing whatever he can to make a comeback. We'll see, but I'm told it's a done deal. He's definitely coming back.
How about that? Listen, and I can't let this go by. Two-parter for you, Frankie. Folks, we're talking with Frank Morano here at the last segment of today's show, and so glad that we're able to. So why are you not a huge Cuomo guy? You can give us a Reader's Digest version of it. And then two, what happens with Mayor Adams? I mean, do you see as far as the charges and whatnot? Two-parter for you.
Okay. Well, many reasons on the Cuomo front. Now, I don't have an issue with him personally. I hear some of the things that people say about him, and they say they hate him and things like that. I would never go that far. But if you look at Andrew Cuomo's record, not only as governor but in public life, it's defined by opportunism. And really, the people could like his father, they could dislike his father, but Mario Cuomo, he believed in something. And he was the last of the true great liberals, and he had an ideological agenda that he pursued. You can agree with it, you can disagree with it. Andrew Cuomo believes in nothing except the accumulation of his own power. Now, sometimes that may lead him to do very good things, like he did to some extent as Attorney General, although he did politicize that office a bit. And what he did in his first term as governor, where he cut taxes, where he cut spending, but most of the time he's totally transactional. So I have a big issue with what he did in terms of signing the cashless bail law in New York, in signing the raise the age legislation in New York. I think that has led to an uptick in crime in New York City, especially over the last 5 years. I'm a guy, I've always been a third party guy. I hated the bill that he signed, basically pushing all the third parties in New York out the door. His mismanagement of COVID, I actually give him a little leeway on. I think it was terrible that he closed involuntarily every business, enforced all these mandates that you couldn't go to a restaurant or keep your job without getting vaccinated. But I'll cut him some leeway because this was an unprecedented time. We didn't know what was going on. I really have a difficult time forgiving him for his handling of the nursing home situation, not only issuing an order for these nursing homes to take in COVID patients, but then to lie to the public and manipulate this data when the state legislature was asking for it, all the while writing a book that you're getting paid $5 million for about COVID leadership, which, by the way, you're having your taxpayer-funded staff work on, which we're paying the staff. To me, a lot of this is just unforgivable. And you could go down the list. I mean, corruption, all of his partners in government ended up in jail. Some of them convictions were overturned. But and then when he appoints a Moreland Commission to investigate, he dismantles the Moreland Commission, even though it's not clear that he even had the authority to do so. His entire tenure in public life, unlike his dad, is just based on what's good for Andrew Cuomo, the accumulation of his own power. As far as Eric Adams goes, I am hearing that there's going to be a superseding indictment out of the Southern District of New York, potentially the Eastern District. And as of now, Adams is staying. He's going to stay and fight. The difficult thing for him is going to be he has got to pay for a lawyer. If he doesn't pay for a lawyer, then they claim it's going to be a violation of New York City's conflict of interest law. Now, he could throw himself on the mercy of the court and says, look, I'm destitute and I can't pay for a lawyer. I'll give me a CJA attorney. We'll see how that goes. Politically, I don't know how that's going to play going into a Democratic primary. It's going to be interesting.
Definitely interesting. And listen, you're the guy we're going to want to hear that from. Frankie, we got about a minute left. Listen, when we get back together, maybe next week or the following week, want to talk a little bit about the Daryl Penny case as well as smoking in the casinos. And I know it was this prior weekend, a little bit about the Tyson Paul fight and so much more that we're going to be able to listen in the world of politics, New York City, Atlantic City, New Jersey. I think there'll be about 15 or 20 other things we can speak about as well. Folks, we're talking with Frankie. We appreciate you. If you want to follow AC Mike, folks, AC Mike NJ on Instagram, right here on WOND, as well as Facebook. Frankie, thank you so much. Last word to you, and let folks know where they can follow you and your work down here.
Thank you. If people want to check out the podcast, they can go to any podcast app, Apple, iTunes, whatever, or Spotify, and just search The Other Side of Midnight. Subscribe. It comes right up. Or you can go to fmwabc.com. You can find me on social media, facebook.com/Morano fan. We put a lot of great videos up there, including you and me right now. We're talking to a lot of good folks watching us right now. A lot of folks saying thank you, AC Mike, and everything else. But if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so at Frank Morano. I want to give a shout out to our guy, John Gowdy, the best sand sculptor in America. When I was in Atlantic City at View last week, I was hanging out with him and Dave Damiani, along with Kevin and Virginia McKay. So it was great to see everybody when we were there. Thank you, brother.
Love you, Frankie. Talk to you soon. Folks, be well. Stay tuned for Dan Clyde. Frank Morano.
Good stuff, man. Thank you. I'm hanging up. Hang out. Let's see. Mike, can you hear me? Can you hear me, man? No? You can't? Thank you. Thank you. Good stuff. Can you hear me? No? Okay, you can't. I'm removing you from the stage. All right. Ellen says, this was great. Thank you. All right. I got to pick up Carmine in about 10 minutes. And now I have to deal with this Curtis homework assignment of getting in touch with the branch manager at Citibank, which I'm thrilled to have one more chore to do today. All right. Akram writing, I can't help wondering, why is it so difficult that you are incapable of seeing the cataclysmic end of white supremacy? Telling you the reason won't be helpful because of your deluded mindset, and your racist and sexist believe, but I think you mean believe, that the originator of the universe is a Caucasian male. Your arrogance of white supremacy prevents you from being truthful to your own soul. You white supremacists go rushing into hell and taking your offspring with you. Ooh. Look at the condition, your so-called Wester. I don't know the rest. But Akram, what can I say? There's a lot to be said for white supremacy. There is indeed. All right. What else? Anybody have questions before we go? Richard Luthman says the Adams case gets dropped by Pam Bondi. You know, I'm skeptical. I could see Adams getting a pardon, but are they really, after a grand jury has issued an indictment, are they really going to say, oh, sorry, grand jury, we're not doing anything? I can't see it, but maybe, who knows? This is my hard drive, which is still not working, that I got from Transfer City. They were not helpful. This is my original hard drive, and this is, well, they put a new board in here, and this is the old board, which is apparently still not working. So now I have to figure out a way to deal with this. We will see. We will see indeed. And there's that. The guy loves you, Frank. Yeah, Akram. Akram tunes in every day. I was saying to somebody yesterday, who was I saying to? Lost track of who I talked to when. Don't remember. My barber, Lou, who's a great guy, who was kind enough to see Carmine yesterday. He said he gets frustrated at seeing some of the mean things that people in the Facebook group, which you should join, facebook.com/group/Radio Morano. He gets frustrated seeing some of the things people say about me. And I said, if they're listening, let them say whatever they want. I am all for everybody being critical. I was saying to someone else yesterday as well, no one forces you to be in the public eye. You know, part of the bargain of being in the public eye and putting yourself out there and putting your work out there for everybody is that you're inviting criticism and feedback from everybody else. So that's part of the bargain. So that's that. My son Carmine is going to be turning 3 on Monday. We're having a little bit of a birthday party for him tomorrow, so there's a bunch of stuff to do. Now, my mom goes to this bank that Curtis is needing me to get in touch with the bank manager. I'm going to see if she has the bank manager, his contact information to save me a trip over there. So we'll see. Do you have the branch manager contact info for Citibank need for Curtis? We'll see what she says. We'll see. Okay. What else we have? Is that it? I think that might be it. Anything else anybody has questions about, comments about? Please, if you're interested in seeing Elliot Gordon and me, just Google Frank Morano and Elliot Gordon, and you can be a part of all the fun and frivolity of of the upcoming show that's on January 13th. I'm hoping to see many of you. Not a lot of people bought tickets for the original date, which is, I think, part of the reason why they had to move it to January 13th. But if you were one of the people that bought tickets, thank you, and I'm sorry for you. It was once again a real treat to be able to spend a little bit of time with Liev Schreiber yesterday at the Teddy Atlas dinner. Larry Holmes was there too, who I've interviewed before and who's always a great guy, but I didn't get to spend much time with him because everybody was wanting to line up to meet him and so forth. But it was cool that he was there and looked pretty good. But there's Liev Schreiber and me yesterday, the star of Ray Donovan and a bunch of other interesting films. Grace, everything but Carmine. I keep missing your show, Frank. Well, Gilliana, what are you doing? All we ask is 4 hours a day. I know that's a lot, actually. My neighbor, Tara, who's a good friend, she, I get annoyed when people said, "Oh, I was listening to this podcast. I was listening to that podcast." I said, Excuse me. What about listening to my podcast?" And she said, "Frank, you're a lot for every day. If it was once a week, I could deal. But 4 hours every single day, it's tough." I get that. Do what you can. Subscribe. All right, I'm going to go get ready to pick up Carmine and try and get in touch with this Citibank branch manager. I'll probably do another video later today. Probably not tomorrow because we're going to be tied up with this party. Certainly on Sunday. Until then, I'll see you on the radio.